Now, despite the chaos, President Biden is standing by his decision to pull troops from Afghanistan. In a national address, the president said even though the scenes playing out in the country are, quote, gut-wrenching, it's time for this 20-year war to end. ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper joins me now for more on the political fallout from all of this. Avery, President Biden seemed to be trying to toe a line yesterday. On the one hand, he literally said the buck stops with him and he won't pass this responsibility on to another future president. But critics are saying he did pass the buck and seemingly placing most or all of the blame for the chaos in Afghanistan on the Afghan army and the Afghan government.
Right. So we did see the president both attempt to claim the buck and pass the buck yesterday in his remarks about the situation in Afghanistan. The president saying that there was an intelligence breakdown. The Taliban did advance much faster than they anticipated, but also placing the blame on former President Trump and his administration on the Afghan army and the Afghan government, Ashraf Ghani fleeing the country. He also even placed the blame on folks, Afghan citizens and civilian personnel who did not leave the country quick enough. And so we really did see the president double down on his stance that this was the time to depart, for troops to depart Afghanistan, and, you know, that it was messy. But ultimately, his goal remains the same, is to end this 20-year conflict and not to pass this conflict on to another president.
Now, he also said that if the Afghan government and Afghan army weren't prepared now to fight for the country and secure the country against the Taliban, that they weren't going to be in another year or another 5 years or another 10 years and so on. And so to him, it sounds like this outcome was inevitable. Do others in Washington agree with that?
Well, others in Washington are still looking at where the intelligence breakdown was. And again, you're going to see lawmakers on both sides of the aisle making inquiries to figure out exactly how things were allowed to devolve as quickly as they did. But it doesn't change the president's argument. He believes that this is the time to get out, and that it was never going to be pretty, that it was never going to be a clean break, that it was going to be messy. And that's why we're seeing the images that we're seeing now. But ultimately, I think he's made this political calculation that leaving Afghanistan is relatively popular among the American people. And so this is just an obstacle in the road to get to the ultimate, victory, which is leaving Afghanistan for him.
Now, the bulk of the criticism, though, doesn't seem to be over the decision to leave, but rather the way this withdrawal has been executed, including the fact that it was agreed to without conditions with the Taliban. How is this debate playing out in Washington?
Well, what we're seeing is, folks on the right come out and speak out against the Biden administration for this haphazard withdrawal plan. Again, there was a glaring intelligence failure that has resulted in the chaos and in the images that we are seeing out of Afghanistan. And there are folks on both sides of the aisle who are not going to be defending the way that we left. But again, generally, leaving Afghanistan is relatively popular. And so what we're seeing from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle is a desire to get folks out of there as soon as possible so that they can get to safety.
And the attention's also now turning to these Afghan refugees. So what's the plan for what happens to them now? Do they settle here in the U.S. or where else do they go?
Right. So there's a lot of red tape. And you mentioned earlier Senator Ben Sasse saying that calling on the Biden administration to cut the red tape in order to get people out as quickly as possible. Typically, folks would have to go to a third country and then apply for asylum to be able to come to the United States. You're seeing Senator Ben Sasse saying cut that all out so that we can get folks over here. Progressives on the other side of the aisle, on the other side of the spectrum, are saying the same thing in a much less aggressive tone. But they are calling on the Biden administration to move faster and to work harder in order to get folks out of there and to safety. So we could see Afghan refugees come to the United States. We know that they have been encouraged on the federal level to be welcoming and compassionate to those refugees and have them come to areas in the United States. It just remains to be seen how quickly they're going to be able to pick up the pace and how soon we could see those Afghan refugees come to the United States.
All right, Avery Harper, our Deputy Political Director. Avery, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.